Happy Saturday, everyone. I can't believe it's October already. I'm sorry that I've been a little absent on here and not posting Dr. Quinn videos, but I'm back. Been really busy and just kind of going through my own thing. Everyone has their time periods where they're just not themselves. And I just watched an episode of Dr. Quinn, season 2, episode 16, the Orphan Train. Not one of my favorite episodes, but this is the episode after Dr. Mike and Sully break up, unfortunately. So sad for those of you that have been mourning their breakups. This is about an orphan, literally an orphan train that comes through town, and Reverend has volunteered to try and help these children find homes. It becomes harder than he thought it was going to be. These children have some serious problems. Some of them have been in jail, some of them smoke, there's a sibling duo where the girl's like 16, 15 maybe, and she has a younger brother who is missing a leg and is kind of walking around with a little cane. So when they come into town, they look dirty. The townspeople are kind of not for this. The Reverend says that he thinks he should take them on, and he was planning on converting the church so that they could stay there. And Dr. Mike was like, well, I will take them at my homestead. Obviously, Dr. Mike just has the sweetest heart and the biggest heart. She's always wanting to look after the children, which is super sweet. So they come back to the homestead with her. Chaos ensues, and Colleen and Brian are not happy about this. They eventually go to Matthew and pretty much ask if they can move in with him when he gets married to Ingrid. And they just feel kind of forgotten about, which I can understand this. There's like these 10 kids. Excuse my dog. And they're everywhere. They're taking and using their stuff. It's not doable having that many children at the homestead. So it's pretty chaotic. Sully is kind of moping. You can tell that he's moping. And so the Reverend and Dr. Mike are just trying to find homes for these children. So they have this thing in the church field where people can come meet the kids, but it's more of like an auction. Even Robert E. and Grace mentioned, like, this is not right. I haven't seen something like this since I was a slave. And it really was, like, people were looking at their teeth, looking at their hair, like, it's just like, it was like picking out cattle or a horse from an auction. These are children, human beings. It was just an awful sight to see and be a part of, I'm sure. So they cancel it, and then Hank is kind of taking a liking to the older girl that's 16 years old that has the little brother without a leg. He obviously wants her to come work at his saloon as an entertainer. Myra tries to talk her out of it, because she knows what it's like to have a contract and then regret that later with Hank. The Reverend has kind of taken a liking to Dr. Mike. I'm not okay with this. So he goes into Jake's barber shop to get his beard shaved. And Jake was like, okay, who is it? And he's like, what do you mean? And he's like, no man willingly shaves his beard unless there's a woman that he's trying to impress. And he's like, really, it's no one. Like, I've been so busy with everything. Me and Dr. Mike been busy with the kids. And they're like, oh, Dr. Mike. It was him and Lauren in there, and it was just hilarious. But he does get his beard shaved off. We don't really see, I'm trying to think. I feel like maybe in the pilot he didn't have a beard, but I can't remember. I think this might be the only time that we see the Reverend without a beard, but we will have to keep track of that. Looks very different. So yeah, he's trying to impress Dr. Mike. One night at the homestead, he brings Dr. Mike back with the kids, and he kisses Dr. Mike. And unfortunately, Matthew and Sully both see this, and it's not good. Obviously, Sully is jealous, he's hurt, he's upset, but I have to kind of like pick up for Dr. Mike a little bit here, which is another area where Sully gets upset about something, but he's not willing to do anything about it. He just kissed another woman in the previous episode. And I really do have some serious questions if this episode was filmed before they got together. This kind of feels like an episode that was maybe towards the beginning of season 2 instead of kind of in the middle. But I could be totally wrong. And then, so Sully comes to the clinic to talk to Dr. Mike, and he basically asks, are you going to marry the Reverend? And she thinks that's none of his business. The Reverend has made a commitment to her and her children, and not him nor anyone else has been able to do that. And she said something like he wasn't ready to be in a relationship or be a part of that. And that kind of sounds more like the end of season 1, the portrait episode, where he said he wasn't ready for a relationship. So that makes me think in my head that this was kind of early on in the season. And his hair was super short as well and more curly. It looked like more in the beginning of the season than what was previously. So I'm not 100% sure that this was actually filmed after the breakup episode. So but yeah, so Myra ends up taking that girl's contract. She's gonna work extra, even though, so that way she doesn't have to be a slave, basically, to the entertainment saloon world. And you know, let's see, but yeah, they kind of, it's a weird ending. They kind of send the children on their way and hoping that, you know, other people can find good homes. Robert E. and the little boy with crutches did bond a little bit. So Robert E. made the little boy like kind of like a boot thing for his leg that he was missing, kind of like a horseshoe kind of thing, and he was able to walk without crutches at the end, which was adorable. So yeah, they kind of go on. They couldn't help all of them, unfortunately, but I think they made it feel like someone cared for them, and that's what they needed. At the end, they are in the cemetery. I think they're at Charlotte's grave. The children and Sully and Dr. Mike come up, and she says, you know, they're not adopting the children. They're gonna send them to Denver, I think, maybe to try and find good homes for them. And she said that she knew nothing about raising children. When Charlotte told her to watch her children, she tried to talk her out of it. Like, what did she know about being a mother? And she didn't. She had to learn as she went, which I think that's true of all mothers, whether you have them yourself or you adopt them, whatever that looks like. You just kind of fall into it. And she said that they still had a lot of growing to do as a family, and kind of get into a rhythm. So, and then Brian asked the question that everyone wants to know: is she going to marry the Reverend? She says no, they're just going to remain friends. They're not getting married. You can see Sully smiling a little bit. He's definitely happy about that. And then they just kind of go off and they talk about maybe having a picnic together tomorrow. She's going to close the clinic down. No chores. Just really neat and sweet. So, again, not my favorite episode out of the series, but, you know, it's a good one. So, the next up is Buffalo Soldiers. You'll have to see what that's all about. But thank you for watching with me. If you're still watching with me, I'm sorry I've been a little bit behind and delayed. But we are slowly chugging through season 2. There's like 35 episodes in the season, and this was 16, so we have 17 next. So we are literally, after 17, halfway through season 2. So I can't wait for you to see what's in the second half of season 2. I think you're going to love it. But yeah, I appreciate you if you're still watching my videos. Like, subscribe, comment. I think my favorite scene in this episode was Roberty and the little boy bonding, and Roberty is just helping him build a kind of a leg for him to walk on. But yeah, I hope you all have a wonderful weekend.